So like I said, I'm going to walk you through bubble 7. There are a few videos in this, and then specifically, we'll be taking a look at bubbles 5, 6, and 7, which is where some of the information is. All right, so this is what we call Game Lab. This is where we are going to be doing our animated card. This is where we are going to be doing our scroller game for this unit. In order to use Game Lab, and again, you can grab this and make it larger. I like to do that. I like having a larger space to work with. And again, my opinion, it does not have to be your opinion. I always turn on my grid because that way I know where things are in terms of the context of Game Lab. All right, so again, what this does, if I hit run, is it is going to create. It is going. I'm like, what is going on over there? It is going to create a rectangle because it says RECT rectangle. And if I change the numbers inside this command line of code, so if I go to 200, 200, for example, and I'm going to do 200, 300 because why not? And reset and then run. Notice it changed location. Okay. Nope. Well, we'll learn how to do that eventually. Right now, we're just learning how to place the object. So what I want you to notice specifically is that these numbers are like an X, Y location in math on a grid. So this is at X location 200, Y location 300. The only thing that I also need you to notice is that unlike your math class, think of this as being the fourth quadrant on an XY coordinate system. So this is like X going across the top and then Y coming down. Does that make sense? So we go from 0 to 400 across the top, and we go from 0 to 400 coming down. So this location here is the 200 on the X and the 300 on the Y. I also want to point out that when I do a rectangle, it is that top corner where that coordinates are, okay? So we're going to go ahead and hit finish. And I think, oh, no, we're with the dancer lady. I thought we were with Milani again.
I'm Amara. I'm a student at Dartmouth College, and I love to code and dance. People always thought I was good with technical stuff with computers and phones, and then I did Girls Who Code. And yeah, seeing other girls interested and realizing that it was more accessible than I think I thought was a good gateway into computer science. Welcome to Game Lab. Game Lab is a tool that lets you draw pictures, design animations, and build your own games with code. To create these animations and games, you'll be learning and using the programming language JavaScript. GameLab is designed with the beginning programmer in mind, but it also includes many powerful features to help you bring your creations to life. Let's get started. In GameLab, you can add lines of code to your program by dragging blocks out from the toolbox and snapping them together. Then click the Run button to see the result. The output of the program will show up on the left in the display area. If you prefer, you can also type the commands yourself. Either way you write your code, you can always flip between block mode and text mode. In fact, you can work in text mode and drag blocks out to insert the text. If you make an error, you can use the blocks as a way to check if it's the right command. If you want to get rid of a line of code, just drag the block off the screen. You can also delete it from the text. To start out, you'll be drawing with simple shapes like rectangles and ellipses. That's a fancy name for an oval. To change where shapes show up on the screen, you can change the numbers given to each command. The first two numbers set the position of the shape. The last two numbers change the size. Let's check out an example where we want to move our rectangle down the screen and then make it wider. In GameLab, the X and Y position starts at the top left corner. If we want to move the rectangle down the screen, we actually need to increase the Y value. To make the rectangle wider, we'll also need to increase its width. Learning how to use new commands doesn't have to be trial and error. If you hover over any of the blocks, you can read more about how to use it and see detailed examples of each command. I don't know what I want to do after college, but I know that computer science will give me a lot of opportunities to work in many different industries, which is why I like it so much.
Yay!
She is happy.
Okay, so it says in our instructions here that we are going to place 2 rectangles in the exact corners on the screen like the picture. So a lot of our practice that we'll be doing in the lower levels of Unit 3, they will give us an image and then we have to recreate said image. So again, for me personally, and I'm not saying that you have to, but for me, I like to, as soon as I know what I'm supposed to do, get rid of my instructions. And I like to make my game lab area as big as possible. I always like to turn on my grid as well. So again, in the image, I have to create 1 rectangle up top and 1 on the bottom. So if we're going to do that, I need 2 rectangles over here because I need to make 2 separate rectangles. So I'm going to grab my code from my work area and from the toolbox, and I'm going to drag it over to the workspace. So if I hit run right now, obviously these are not in the correct location, right? So now what I need to do is I need to change my X and Y location. So if I want to be up here in the top box, like the image was for my example, I need to decide what that coordinate system would be for this very top position. So what is that very, very top corner of the grid?
0,
0, 0. So if I change one of my rectangles to 0, 0, reset, run, well, it got moved there. So yay that. All right. What is the bottom position for this rectangle going to be? Anybody?
400, 400.
400, 400. Okay, cool. So let's try that. 400, oops, not 440. 400, 400. Reset and then run.
Oh,
Wah, wah, wah. What happened?
it ain't no more. There's only 1 square.
Correct. So what did we do wrong?
Something. It was too big.
What's
The Y.
when I graph this, the upper left-hand corner goes to my coordinate system. So where is the upper left-hand corner of my rectangle
0, 0.
for 400, 400?
Right there in the bottom corner.
It's right here at the bottom corner. So this does exist, we just can't see it. So where would I need to put this?
350, 350.
350, 350? Okay, let's try that. Oops. Reset and run. And there it is. So keep in mind, if you go for anything over 400 is going to be off the grid. So it has to be a number between 0 and 400. Because anything greater than, actually 399, because anything 400 or greater will be off the grid. All right, so we are done here. Somebody close the door, please.
So far, you've only been drawing gray colored shapes. Let's throw some color into these shapes to make them more interesting. Every shape has 2 elements that can be colored, a stroke and a fill. The stroke is the border of the shape. The fill is the color inside the shape. At any point, you can change the color used to draw the stroke or fill of the shape. For example, here we'll change the fill to be the color green before drawing a rectangle. If you draw more rectangles after setting the fill color, they'll also be green. Until you change the fill color, GameLab will continue to draw shapes in the color that you set. The same applies for the stroke of your shapes. If you don't want your shapes to have a stroke or fill, you can use the no stroke or no fill commands to make it so. The order of commands matters a lot in GameLab. You need to change the color of your stroke or fill before you draw the shape. If you were drawing or painting in real life, this would be like dipping your paintbrush into your palette before drawing on the canvas. There's lots of other commands you can use to create interesting and complex drawings. As you get more familiar with all the drawing tools available in Game Lab, you'll get better at bringing your ideas to life. Happy drawing!
All right, so the big takeaway here, guys, is order of commands. I say this a lot, computers are stupid. What I mean by that is they only know what you tell them. So if you want a rectangle to be green, you have to say, fill green before you put the rectangle in. Because if you make your rectangle and then say green, it's gonna make the rectangles and then try to change the color of something that it can't change. So order matters a lot. All right, so we are going to work our way through 5, 6, and 7, which are our practice areas. And then, of course, you guys will be able to work on 8, 9, and 10 on your own. All right, so it says, look at the code that sets the color. Change the color from blue to yellow. Add a new square by dragging rectangle block into the code area below. And the new square can go anywhere on the screen you like. So run and show grid. All right, so again, I need to first change the color. So again, all I need to do is change from blue to yellow. Right here in the code where it says fill, see if I pull that out, reset run, they're just gonna be that normal gray, okay? But if I want these to be yellow, before I draw my rectangles, I'm gonna put my fill in, and I am gonna make the color choice yellow. And when I reset run, they show up as yellow. Did everybody get that?
No. Yes.
If you want to change the color, you literally just have to go to where it says fill, click the down arrow, and pick the color you want.
Where does it say fill?
You are you should be on bubble 5 because that's where we are. I love you. Stop. Again, I'm mean enough for everybody in this room. We do not need to be mean to each other. You're good? Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And so now in the instructions, it asked me to add another square. So again, I'm going to go ahead and bring in a line of code for rectangle. And I'm going to see where this one shows up. And if I don't want that there. I want to bring it over here. And so that's going to be 100, 200. So I'm going to change the numbers. Now, somebody asked about, can I make these bigger? Yes, I can. Reset, run. If I want to make it bigger, all I need to do is hit the little arrow on the extension piece here. And then I can change my height and width, but I'm not going to do that yet. So I have changed the color. I added a third rectangle. That's what was required of me in the instructions. Yay me. So I am now going to go ahead and hit finish. In Game Lab, it matters what order the code is in. New shapes are drawn on the top, the ones that come before, covering up the shapes that are drawn first. You can see the difference when you use more than one color in your code. Do this. Look at the code that draws these two rectangles. First drawn in red, the second is drawn in blue. Okay, it's green and blue up here, but whatever. Change the red color to green and order the code so that the green rectangle appears on top. All right, cool. So I'm going to make my instructions large, my Game Lab larger. I'm going to hit run, and I'm going to always show my grid. So first of all, I need to change my red to green. So that's easy enough. I'm going to go to my first line of code, and I'm going to change from red to green, reset, run, and there it is. The problem is, though, I want my green to be on top of my blue. Again, order matters. Whatever you want, think of this as like layers, right? So if you want the green on, like if I was piling stuff on my desk, whatever I put down first gets covered by whatever comes next, right? Same thing in our code. So if I want green to be on top, it has to come last. So in that case, all I literally need to do is grab this and drag it to the end of the code.
Number one?
So all I did was take the green and drag it down to 3, and I took the 175, 175, and I dragged it down to the 4 position. Okay? Reset, run, and there it is. And again, ladies and gentlemen, it's like tiling things on a desk. Whatever you want to be on the bottom needs to go first. Whatever is going to be second goes second. Whatever is going to be third goes last. These things are going to stack on top of each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Questions? Can we not throw things across my room, please? Darielle, it's concerning to me that you're on your phone.
Oh no, I'm paying attention.
Any questions for bubble 6? Okay, awesome.
Is that you said?
It's a program. All right, so now it says ellipses. Okay, so now we have some new code. You can use the ellipse to make a circle. Do this. Looking at the code, make an ellipse, add an ellipse of a different color. Again, I just like to make my space to work with larger. I like to turn on my grid. All right, so I have a teal ellipse, awesome. And I am going to add another ellipse. So what I want you to notice when I hit reset run, notice my ellipse. Remember how in the rectangle, the coordinates gave you the upper right-hand corner? I'm sorry, upper left-hand corner of your rectangle? For an ellipse, the XY coordinate is going to give you the center. So the very center of that ellipse. So the second one that I added in at 200, 200, the center of that ellipse shows up on that coordinate. So this doesn't do like the rectangles where it goes from the top. The coordinate system that you put in XY is going to be the center of your circle. And then it asked me to change the color. So I'm just going to grab my fill. I'm going to put it on top of my new ellipse. And maybe I'll make it green because why not? Oh, that's really kind of very similar. I wonder if I can type a word. Let's try purple. Oh, haha, I can.
Oh wow.
Work?
Let's go.
All right, so apparently you can type in any color you want as long as it's programmed in. You can use it. So there it is. So I wanted a purple one, so I have purple now. All right, so here we go. Reset, finish. All right, so your job, ladies and gentlemen, you have A, B, and C that you have to do. You have to do all 3 of these for 8. Then you are going to do 9, which is to basically recreate this flower in your grid. And then for number 10, which are your challenges, as always, you can do as few or as many as you want. The challenges usually count in as extra credit. So they're a little challenging. To me, the challenges are more fun, but I'm kind of a nerd. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have time. Work on 8 and 9, and we are going to stop here. If you have any issues or questions, ask. Other than that, this video will be available on your Google Classroom.